Today, we're going to go over the much-awaited release of the Submittal Aggregator feature. We released this on production just about 10 days ago. Really excited to get users into it and trying it out. So far, it's been functioning great and the feedback's been very positive. Today in the webinar, we are going to kind of make it very simple and sweet. I'm going to give a little intro just to what the aggregator is, what it does, why we built it. And then the majority of the time is certainly going to be focused around just a demonstration of the tool. And then we're going to open it up for questions. And me and my product manager, Jolan, will do our best to answer any and all questions that you guys might have. So first, with getting into what the aggregator is, we decided to build this feature just strictly based on customer feedback. We were getting a lot of distributors asking, how can we easily compile or staple together existing packages that we're receiving from our reps? And with that, we kind of did some thinking on what the best way might be to be able to integrate packages from other kinds of software, whether that be Submittal 123, Oasis, or just classic Bluebeam or Adobe PDF created submittal packages. And with that, what we came up with is a way for you to, of course, add your own scope to it. So the ability to create submittals from scratch, but also that component of compiling or aggregating, whatever synonym you'd like to use there, existing submittal packages. And that way you'd be able to easily control the structure of those, the products in your product list, where they fall. Just because a certain scope goes to this rep doesn't mean that's how you want to kind of present it in this overall project package. And then, have control over the branding and the look and the feel, and also some of the niceties of those hyperlinks and stuff, and essentially allowing you to produce an organized, cohesive project package that can be shared by a link the way that you're used to with just the typical Parspec submittals. So let's just jump right into the demonstration here. For any of you on the webinar that haven't really seen Parspec yet, I won't spend too much time giving more of just like a classic intro to the tool, just as the majority of our attendees here are either current users or they've at least seen the demonstration of the typical submittal workflow. So I'm going to dive right into an aggregator example, but if there are any questions afterwards that want to look at anything within the scope of Parspec, we can certainly do that towards the end. So creating a submittal here now, the pop-up window is a bit different than what it was. We'll of course enter our submittal name, optionally a quote number if we want to start with that, and then the location is going to be something that will default to whichever particular location you have access to. If you have access to multiple, you can make that assignment however you want to file this submittal under that specific location. The submittal owner is going to default to you, and then you'll enter the project name. So I'll just file this under aggregator testing, an existing project. And then it's going to ask how we'd like to start our submittal. So if we did want to at least initially start with the scope that maybe you were going to have to put together from scratch yourself, you could just upload that product list, that portion of the fixture schedule, or maybe of a quote that you're going to need to use Parspec to go find those data sheets, mark them up within the tool, and kind of compile that portion of the package. Or you can go directly to uploading an existing submittal package. And if we choose that option, I'll just upload an existing Parspec package that I have. And again, I'm going to use Parspec packages for the example here, but this tool works very well with Oasis, Submittal 123, any of the other kind of submittal packaging softwares. So I'll upload that PDF and click continue here. And very similar to what the process is right now, if you upload a fixture schedule or any other type of PDF into the tool, it brings us to this PDF viewer window. And it wants us to make that same type of selection around whatever the list of products that we're trying to bring into the tool is. So what we're going to do here is look for the table of contents. which is just, typically going to be on the second page, or maybe there's transmittal before or after it. You're just trying to get to this table that contains all of the different products and line items that you want to bring in. I'll click select schedule, and then just take a snippet, essentially box out the table with those products that I want to bring in. Click confirm selection. Same step as before. It wants you to confirm that it's identified those columns correctly, so we assign them appropriately in the list, which is type, manufacturer, and model number. We're good there. We can click confirm. And then this is one of the 2 new steps for just the aggregator flow specifically. And that's where it's going to bring up kind of the presentation of all the different pages in the package that you just uploaded. And it wants you to unselect any of the pages that you don't want to bring in. And what I would recommend here is always just excluding like the cover page and the table of contents, but keeping all of the spec sheets as is, because we can delete them as a line item later. It might be easier than trying to, find, maybe you want to get rid of an L2 type, and rather than look to do that here, really the step is just to get rid of the cover page, any of that other kind of ancillary pages that were in the existing package that you don't want to bring in, and then click confirm. That step's done. And now for the second new step, you're just going to see this kind of first spec page of the package that you brought in and this orange area. And what it wants us to do is it kind of wants us to adjust it to, as this states, your desired page content. So here's your opportunity to remove the existing headers and footers that have been applied on whatever tool they were using when they package this submittal. This is going to allow us to just put on fresh Parspec ones when you compile this package. So if you do make that selection to exclude the existing headers and footers on this first page, you can just choose to apply that to all the pages very easily with this button, so you're not expected to go through 100 different pages and make that adjustment. You can just do that there, or you can apply it to just a specific range and do that. Once you're done there, you can click confirm, and you're essentially done. So now we've brought in those 6 products with all their relevant spec sheets. We've used character recognition to associate the individual pages within the package to the proper line items. So if I click confirm products here to move to step 2, all of those line items are done and handled. If we click into, let's say, this L2 type, it's going to just show the L2 spec sheet that was in our existing package. So the markups are already there, of course. We can see all of the 4 pages of it here. If it does ever get this assignment incorrect, which would be, I haven't yet to experience it. I've been testing the tool, for like 3 weeks now. But if it does somehow get that wrong, you can, of course, correct it. We had to allow that as an opportunity. So you can click adjust page selection. It's going to bring up the full PDF package, and you could make that selection. If it didn't start on the right page, or maybe there were some pages afterwards that you found, hey, this needs to be related to this, L2 type. You could make those selections like that. And then, of course, there's the opportunity. So when you bring it in, we flatten these files, so you can't actually edit these annotations. I can't click and move around this box. Has to be some give and take somewhere. But if you did need to, say, the rep or whoever you receive this package from just didn't mark it up correctly, and you need to make not only an addition, of course, you can mark it up, newly or freshly here, but if you needed to actually remove what they had put, you can just easily change the data sheet, and then that's going to actually trigger a search, just in that classic Parspec submittal from scratch way, to find the data sheet for this product, which is this one here, or this one was selected by me today, earlier in a demo. So I can select that one, click confirm, and then just mark it up from scratch like this. I won't bother going through actually it's pretty quick here, so I will. So again, this would just be the use case where you needed to mark up this particular spec sheet from scratch. Click confirm, and now that line item is just going to be, of course, when it's compiled, referencing that spec sheet we just selected and marked up, no longer the one that was from the existing. So, typically, right, you want to aggregate more than one submittal. So what you do is you just go back to step one, you'd import more products. It gives you the option to upload another existing package, and you would just follow that same workflow. So here, upload, another package and go through that same thing. Scroll down, find the table of contents, make that selection, confirm it's identified the headers correctly. Again, here, excluding the cover page and the table of contents and confirming, and then adjusting for our desired page selection, which will just be the contents of the actual spec sheet. Apply to all, confirm, and it'll just append those new items, as you can see here, to our existing list. And of course, we can add line items, so if you wanted to start inversely with now doing the portion that you wanted to do from scratch, you can add those line items or go back to step one and upload, just a normal list of products like a bill of materials or something, I guess, which I can do here real quick, just for those of you that might not have seen this, but I'll upload like a fixture schedule. And so this first step is it is identical to the first step of the aggregator upload too. We'll select, the portion of the PDF that we want to parse out. So maybe I select this whole table, or maybe my portion is just the first few line items like that. Click confirm. Going to give us that same pop-up where we confirm the columns here. If I want to bring the description in as notes, I can do that. And then it's just added those here to the bottom. That was that blank line item that I added just a second ago, but the three that we just brought in are now appear to be there. And then on step two, we can click into these and find those data sheets and whatnot. So if we go to step three, this is identical as well, because really now you're just in the normal Parspec submittal flow. There isn't anything special, aggregator, non-aggregator, just that beginning portion where we're actually bringing in those products is what the unique new feature is. And now what we can do is customize our cover page as always, upload whatever branding we might want. We can toggle these fields on or off. We can add content, list some contacts here. Refresh, it'll add those that the team mentioned down here. For the header and footer, this is new. So you can, of course, now toggle the header and footer off so it won't generate new headers and footers. And that would be a case where we wanted to bring in those packages and we did not want to remove the headers and footers. We wanted to keep the reps headers and footers as it was prepared, in the existing package. So if you do want to choose that option, you'll have to toggle this off so it doesn't generate new headers and footers. And that way, it won't like duplicate, create like a header above a header. In this case, I did remove them, so I want to keep this on, and we can make any adjustments there. Then the table of contents banner, you can replace the logo, but hyperlinks and page numbers are going to default to on. Here's our full table of contents, and then I can just compile it. So, in real practice, I wouldn't take the time of going through each of those steps and explaining them. I would just be able to quickly move through that flow and compile these submittals. And then now we've just got one comprehensive project package that's all going to have the same look and feel with our cover page on it, with whatever information we wanted to include. Of course, the table of contents. So if I just, with the hyperlinks, already done for you. So if I click this L3 line item, it'll jump to that particular spec sheet with our headers, fresh headers that we generated with the project name, manufacturer, model number, type, the markup on this sheet, and then at the bottom, the footer with a link back to the table of contents. And then from here, we can download it as a flattened file. Anytime you aggregate a submittal in, as I mentioned before, it's flattened. So there wouldn't be much sense in downloading an unflattened version because it's already essentially flattened. But you can download it, save it to your records, or send it via email attachment, or use the shareable link. And that way you don't have to worry about the size of the file and sending it via email. Instead, you can provide this link and then send that in your correspondence. So your end reviewer would just receive, the link, click on it. It would say company name shared, whatever the submittal name is with you. Ask them to enter their email address so they can access the document. All the links and everything work the same in this viewer as well as the downloaded version. And they can, of course, just choose to download it here. And then, as always, you'll be able to click on the activity log and you can get a timestamp with that email they entered, their action viewed or downloaded. So you can have some visibility into who's referencing that link. So let's go through one more workflow where I want to maybe keep the headers and footers of the existing package. So I'm going to just create another one real quick. So here, what I'll do first is I'm going to upload just an existing, I'm going to upload that fixture schedule again, assuming that we needed to first generate the portion of scope that I have to make from scratch as the distributor. And maybe it's just these two products. So this is that typical Parspec submittal workflow for those of you that might not have seen this yet. But so we're just clicking into that line item to trigger a search for data sheets. It's going to execute two different searches. One is this master database that we have of around 1,300 manufacturers that we pull their catalog once every 7 days and we store it in that master database. So that's got over 1.2 million data sheets in it. And then it will also execute a secondary search for any manufacturers that aren't in that scope, sort of more of like a broader Google search. And you can see from these results here, the verified manufacturer means it came from that first master database. So that's part of Access Lighting's current catalog. And then if we scroll down, we'll be able to see some results that just have URLs, which means that it came from that secondary Google search. I'll move kind of quickly here though. Just want to make this selection, do the markups real quick. So here I've marked this sheet up before, so it's got the history memorized for this particular configuration of the model number. I'll click confirm just to move to the next product and do the same thing here real quick, and then we'll aggregate, bring in another existing package. Also worth mentioning for our current users, you probably already noticed this, but with the aggregator, we did have to make the adjustment. So rather than hiding sheets here with the little eye icon, instead now you just click adjust page selection and we can edit, remove certain pages that way that you would prefer to hide, perhaps like that. And we'll click confirm. So now let's say that was the portion of the submittal that I wanted to do. And if I want to bring in other existing packages that I would prefer to retain their existing headers and footers, then the best thing for me to do would just be compile this portion real quick. So that way I can apply headers to these two products I just made from scratch. So that way they have headers. And then I would just download this file real quick and I can go back and we're just going to, I'll remove these. And now we're going to aggregate, we're going to bring in the one that I just compiled as the existing package because now it's had headers put on it. So it's at not this step, but the next step after this. Again, I'll just unselect the cover page and table contents. So it's at this step where I'm going to choose to not bring this down, not to exclude the headers and footers. I want to keep it, click confirm. Remove that. And so those are already done. Now we can bring in whatever the rep package was or multiple packages as I showed you before, but And then one last time, just going through the flow. And then after this, we'll open it up for questions. So here, selecting the table of contents. Again, unselecting cover page. In the table of contents, those 2 pages we want to exclude. We want to leave the headers as is. Click confirm. It's going to bring in those other products. Go to step 2, everything's already done. So the only thing we need to do on step 3 now is we're going to turn off the headers and the footers because they're already on there. So we don't want to generate new ones. And then, of course, could make any changes that we wanted to here, but then just compile and share. And then now it's going to aggregate that existing package, the one that we had kind of created from scratch, but we still had to compile. So that way we applied headers to it, and it won't apply any additional headers or footers. It'll just be whatever the existing ones were, which I understand in this use case, they're kind of like identical in the first place. So that's maybe not the best example, but if you had Oasis products within this list, you would just see the Oasis header or whatever software. So I will kind of stop there. I feel like that's as much of the demonstration as I wanted to get to, and then open it up to questions from anyone in the group. There is should just be like a Q&A option. So here's one. What if there are multiple table of contents across multiple pages, or if the table of contents is spread across multiple pages? That's a really good question. So in that case, you would make one selection per page. So I don't readily have an example of that, but I can at least kind of showcase what it would look like here. Reordering aggregated submittals in order. Yes, let me first show this, and then we're going to jump into that question. So here, where you're making the selection for the table of contents, let's say, this was one really long one that went down the entirety of this page, but then there's another one on the next page. We would just scroll down, and then we would just draw another box over that table of contents and do that for however many pages there are. So hopefully that answers your question. Good question. I'm just gonna drop out of that one, but let's go to the other question here. Reordering aggregated submittals. So for this first example we did, it is now just a typical kind of Parspec submittal. So it works all the same ways. If I wanted to move this L6 to the top, I could do that, just by clicking and dragging. I can rearrange them however I'd like. And when we compile it, it's going to put those in that order. Other question here, what if I need to change a data sheet later on for one product? Yeah, you absolutely can do that. So you would just, again, in this submittal here, if we click into this X1 type, and this was one that was from an aggregated submittal, but now you need to replace it because you realize the data sheet is no longer relevant or something, you can just click change data sheet, and that's going to trigger a search for this even light data sheet. Does this work with only Parspec submittal packages or any submittal? Yes, any submittal. So really the requirement, I should be a bit more specific, is it works best when it's submittal packages that at least have headers for their respective products, because that is how we are able to associate the proper, individual spec sheet pages to the right line item, is because we'll look at that header and or footer, and then we'll grab that catalog number, and then we'll know that it's associated with that line item. If I import a Parspec submittal, does the program know that the source is Parspec and allows me to directly edit the comments as if I made them? Yeah, so that's something that we're looking into, because ideally, if it is a Parspec submittal, we want to find a bit more cleanly integrated way. So you could do exactly as you're describing here, would almost like be a fully functioning unflattened version where you could adjust those annotations. But the answer to your question is no, not right now. It essentially doesn't know that the source is Parspec. It's going to treat it like any other data sheet. And again, if you did want to just add markups over the existing ones. So like here, this was from an existing package. So I can't manipulate these boxes, but I can certainly, add comments or do anything else of that nature. If you end up needing to remove the markups that were already existing, you will need to change the data sheet and mark up a fresh one. Next question here. What tools do you have for highlighting unknown options, i.e. ceiling mounting option that the specifier needs to provide? Yeah, so you can add notes. So if I wanted to say here, like specify ceiling option or something, of course, also leaving a text annotation wherever that area of the data sheet is, if it's down here, something like that. And then as soon as Friday, potentially worst case scenario early next week, we'll actually have a summary notes page that you can choose to toggle on step 3 of a package. So here there'll be another banner that says note summary, and it'll give you the option similar to this to like toggle on that summary notes page. And that'll be once you compile the document, much like the table of contents here, it's going to generate another table that contains the type and then the associated note with that type. And then it would have the link to that data sheet, just like this table of contents once does. So it would say, in the example we just did, L3, and then it would say specify ceiling option. So your reviewer could just click on L3 and it would take them right to that sheet, so they could hopefully answer your RFI there. Do you lose the index return when you don't use headers and footers? Yes, right now you do, Randy, because that is included in the header and footer section. So this feature, so when this gets toggled off, it's not going to generate that link back to the table of contents. And we're looking at changing that. Kind of just something we didn't predict. The table of contents hyperlinks works fine, works as expected. It just doesn't include the link back to the index. Good catch there. Do the submittals from other software programs allow directly editable comment fields? Re-adding. Let me see if I understand this one. Got it. Yes. So this question is asking if with the existing package you bring in, is there a way you can maybe not manipulate the boxes, but at least change them all to the same color scheme? No, they are just already existing, markups. So as far as this tool is concerned in this moment, I guess I chose one that I shouldn't have there. They're just part of that PDF as far as the tool is concerned. So we can't change the color, we can't adjust them. It's essentially just part of the original PDF, call it. Can you put cover sheets in front of each fixture type? Interesting. Yeah, you could. You can add line items, and then we could say here we wanted, maybe you're asking more about kind of like page breaks. So if we wanted to say building 1, or just call this building, and we'll enter 1 for the manufacturer, we can click into this and then add a data sheet, add a blank page, or upload your own if you have a fancy page break that you'd like to add. And then we could leave, we can add a text annotation here, big 32 size, draw in the center, and I'll say building 1 products or something. So you could do that, at various stages, or duplicate it and then move it further down to segment other parts, just change the number to building 2, or so on and so forth. Can this be used for switchgear submittals? Yeah, absolutely. You can bring it in. As far as will the search engine, that's being expanded upon right now. It does currently, for some manufacturers, electrical manufacturers that we're supporting, it will bring in like their catalog. So there is some switchgear in there. I don't exactly know the full scope of that effort yet. But if you are using the tool, or if you just want to reach out to me directly with a specific manufacturer, I can answer that a bit more specifically. Does this mean if the submittal package was completed without header, the product won't be recognized? The product's not going to be automatically recognized, just because we'd have no way of associating that specific sheet to the line item, but you could still use it for that. You would just need to manually assign it. So here's the example here. Like if I click into this X2 line item, it's going to probably give us actually a flag here where this status indicator would be gray, and it would say like no data sheets have been assigned to this when you aggregated it in, because we didn't know which one to assign it to. So you would just click into it, and then you would just click adjust page selection, and then you would see it, whatever page you wanted to end up assigning to it. You could just make that selection. Hopefully that answers your question. If not, please just chime back again and I can go over that again. Are there plans to allow the addition of installation documents, factory drawings, warranty information, O&M package info after a submittal package has been approved and finalized? Yes, there is. We're currently working on that right now. We're actually in like requirement definition. So if you feel like answering some questions around what exactly you would need there, we'd love to sit down with you and talk through that. But we are looking to develop exactly that. Are there any plans to accommodate landscape PDFs without reorient or smushing? Controls drawings, shop drawings. Yeah, kind of the same thing. It's in line with that same effort, since a lot of the O&M information is going to end up being different page size issues. So we'll be looking to accommodate that in some way. I just don't know exactly what that's going to be. But good question. I need to click answer live on these, so they've been answered. Great questions from everyone, so thank you. Can you, oh, I already answered that one. Anything else from the group here? Does a submittal package have a page limit? No, it does not. So these can be, as large as you practically need. We did set a record the other day with a submittal package that was 5.6 gigabytes, which is massive. But yeah, there is no limit to the amount of pages or what you can bring in. It might take it's going to take longer to compile naturally, but there is no set limit where we'd stop you at importing that. What is the final package file format? A PDF. And if it's an aggregated submittal, it's going to be a flattened PDF. Awesome. Well, I'm going to stay on for just another couple minutes here, just if anyone else wants to ask any questions. But of course, you can always, reach out to us directly. support@parspec.io is going to land in an email that we all kind of on the product team get notified of. My personal one is tom@parspec.io, so feel free to reach out to me directly there as well. And then within the app, when you're using it, you can of course reference this chatbot here and click live chat, and that's going to ping me. So if you have any questions when you're first going through this, if you run into any issues, please make us aware. We're very excited to get some feedback from everyone on this new feature that we're quite proud of. Oh, here's some more. Can we send a link to the customer? Yeah, absolutely. So same thing as just a normal package. On step 4, it'll have been generated and you can just share that link. Works the exact same way. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining. This was a fun first webinar. I'll look to do some more of these in the future. I'll stop the